Hello everyone, my name is Mike. The project I'm going to start working on today is replacing my heater core. When I bought this Corvette, one of the things I noticed right away is that the heater hoses are routed from the water pump right back into the intake manifold. Now that tells me that there was a problem with the heater core underneath the dash. It must have been leaking. I mean, that's my guess. So rather than tear it all out and look at it, I decided to go ahead and order a new heater core and then tear it apart so that I would be prepared to fix it on the spot. I also ordered a new blower fan. Even though the one I have works, it's 42 years old and it doesn't blow the AC as hard as I would like for it to. So I'm thinking a new fan and motor is in order. That'll be on the list of this project as well. Here's my new heater core. See if we can get a shot of these numbers. All right, I ordered this from Volunteer Vet. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, it's because you want to replace your own heater core. Now, if you're not familiar with C3 Corvette, the heater core is underneath the dash on the passenger side, inside of a box where the ductwork is. So a lot of this has to come out. Now, where I will begin is by removing the passenger seat. There are 4 bolts, 2 in the front, obviously, and when you move the seat forward, there are 2 in the back. I'm going to take those out and remove the seat, so I have a lot of room to work here. All right, before I get too far along, I just wanted you to know I reached right up in here to this vent and pull this ductwork out. Don't expect any part of the rest of it to be that easy. The next thing on my list is going to be to remove this carpet piece that runs down the side here. It's covering up some of the ductwork, and I know I'm going to have to get up in there. It's held into place by 3 screws. There's one of them. The other one's about halfway down. I feel it in there. I know it's there. All right, and the other one is all the way in the back corner. All right, the next thing I want to do is I want to remove the screws around the instrument panel. Now there is a screw underneath the bottom that connects these 2 pieces together. There's one on the other side as well. And then there are screws inside to the dashboard, back towards the glove box, screws all the way around. Let's get all those out. Okay, I've got all those screws out of the instrument cluster. I am bagging and tagging them as I go. Next, there are some screws on the inside of the glove box that need to be removed so I can get this piece out of here. All right, guys, I've barely made any progress, but I still want to show you where I'm at. So I removed this instrument panel. I just pulled it out as far as I could get it, and it's just kind of sitting there so that I can access the inside. I got the glove box out, took all 6 screws out. Now I can kind of see what's going on in here. I see there's a cable back here in the back that needs to be taken off this pin, broken loose from what holds the sleeve, and that cable needs to be taken loose. I also see some kind of connector behind it. This is the connector I'm touching with my finger. It plugs into this cream colored looking box. I'll get a look at that in a minute, but that's where I'm at. All right, guys, so very slowly and gently, by bringing this outside this corner here and pulling back ever so slightly on this dash piece, I managed to get the center vent to pull out of there. It's set up in there like that, right behind the gauges. And I pulled it off of this end and slowly worked it around, pulled it out this side by gently pulling out on this corner right here some. Got a little bit of play, but I would not pull too hard or you might break your dash. It looks like I've got some access to screw here, screw there, and then I know there's screws back there against the firewall. I'm going to have to get to all those all the way in the back there. Okay, guys, I got a couple more bolts out. I took the 2 bolts out right here that tied the ductwork together. Then I took the 2 bolts out from underneath, one on this side and one on that side. And the one on the passenger side was shorter than the one on the driver's side. That's probably important. I'm gonna make note of that. Also, there was a vacuum line on this piece right here. I took it off and I labeled it, so I'll know where it goes when I come back. Now I'm going to continue taking bolts off this piece from the firewall until I get it loose enough that I can move it around a little bit. Okay, a little update. Here's the cable that was connected back in there. It had like a little keeper ring holding the cable on that peg. Removed that. Took the bolt out of the little piece here that held the cable still. Took the cable out of the way. Trying to find the bolts are an issue here. And you can see a bolt in the center of the screen against the firewall. Right back there. I had to pile this insulation up out of my way just to even find it. And I believe there's 1 or 2 more across the top. We'll get those out. Okay, update to where we are. We've gotten 3 bolts out of the firewall so far. I had to take a pair of long needle nose and remove some of the insulation from the top, just so I could see what was down there in the back. I'm not really seeing any more bolts, but it still doesn't want to come out. This is the contraption I had to rig up to reach those bolts back there at the firewall. But I did find 1 bolt right here. Actually, it's a nut on a stud. But the problem is, when I turn it, the stud spins too. I believe this is the final piece of the puzzle on getting that out of there. But I'm going to have to lube this up with some WD-40 or something and try and hold on to this stud and back this nut up. See if I can get it off. Okay, now using a pair of vice grips to hold on the very tip of this bolt, I managed to get the nut free to where it spins. Now, obviously, I messed up the last thread So as I get it close to the end of this stud, I'm having to work it back and forth to straighten out the last thread. Okay guys, right next to the air conditioner thing here, I finally got that nut off this stud. So I'll come back inside to see how free this piece is here. And it wiggles a little bit, but something's still holding it. So I'm looking all around and I see right here we had those original 2 screws, one right there, one right there. Right back in here, straight down the side of the instrument panel, I found another screw. I'm gonna stick the phone up in there. I can light it up for you. And I will edit it. See if we can get a view of that screw back there. So there's 2 right there, and then there's one a little further up right there. Right there, that's the one that's holding me up. Now, with that final screw out of the way, I'm able to get in here and push this piece back away from the piece that I'm working on. Give me some separation right here, because I want to get this piece right here. I want to get this piece out. All right, guys, I'm going onto the car right behind the front tire. Inside of the frame, here are the 2 heater hoses. Not exactly sure what this wire is hanging here, doubled around, taped off. I'll figure that out shortly. But these 2 heater hoses, they definitely look original. So I'm not going to bother trying to save them. What I am going to do is take a pair of cutters and gnaw on them till I cut through both of them. All right, that wasn't too hard. I cut through both of the hoses, and I believe that's all I got to do to get the heater core out of there. Okay, I'm making progress. Got it moving. I think it's the way those heater hoses turn down that's got me. So I'm going to lay on my back and get underneath it and pick up on it and try and pull it out, roll it out, if you know what I mean. All right, guys, I got it out of there, but it was not easy. There was a vacuum line in the rear that hooks up to this. I found that after I got about halfway out. 2 vacuum lines that connect here. Disconnected those. And let's see where I got underneath the car and cut the hoses off. These clamps, I believe, were one of the problems stopping me from getting this thing out of there. It's got a weather seal in it that I'm going to try and reuse, even though there's not a lot left of it. Anyway, it was pretty difficult, I ain't gonna lie. But I finally drug it out of there without too much damage. So, nothing real major anyways. I got a wire unhooked, and I have no idea if or where it was plugged into. I think it's a speaker wire. I'm gonna have to search it down and figure it out. Okay, now that I've got this box out of the car, I'm trying to remove this heater core. I see there's one bolt right here on this end, one bolt down inside there on that end, and then one here on this clamp. I'm going to undo these three first. Okay, so I took those screws out, and this bracket just slid right out of the way. But the heater core still won't come out. Looks like it's part of, or behind this plastic case. I found a screw right here, one on the other side. Maybe this piece comes out right here and separates from the piece below it. We'll see. All right, so I removed the screw I found here and the one I found under here, but not only this section comes loose, but all the way around this whole cover comes off. I found another screw up here. Once I took that screw out, then I began to get these two edges right here to separate, until I got over here and found a screw rusted out with only half a head. Tried vice grips, can't really get a socket on it. So what I intend to do is take my die grinder and cut the head off of it. Alright guys, I'm still working on this heater core box, right? Now, I started finding screws around the outside and taking them out to try and pull these two pieces apart, this part from the face. And when I got them all out, all the way around, I still couldn't get this face off. So I looked it over. There's not much else interfering, but I came over here and I said, well, maybe something's holding it up over here. I had a bolt right here I took out, a bolt right here I took out, and I broke this one loose, and this plate moved out of the way. Now you can see there's a notch right here that went around this arm right here, which was keeping it from sliding up this groove. So I think I got it separated. And voila, what do you know, there it is. I got them apart. So now, I see a whole bunch of green right here. I'm thinking there's a leak somewhere around in this end of this heater core. So I got a strap here with a bolt on each side here and over there on the other side. And I've got a strap in the back with a bolt here and a bolt on the other side. I'm going to take these two straps off and put my new heater core in its place. Okay, I've reassembled the heater box with the new heater core, and I'm looking at this diaphragm here, and it's supposed to actuate this door. It's supposed to open or close this door right here. Now if I try and open the door and put my finger on this area where the hose connects, if I plug that off, the vacuum created inside should hold this door open. It shouldn't be able to close by itself because it's the vacuum, the suction on it, that opens it. Okay, there are no hose connections on the inside. These are just where two bolts are. Okay, so vacuum suction on this side pulls this lever in and opens that door. So I believe this is bad because it won't stay open when I put my finger on this hole. The door just closes right back. So it doesn't have any suction in it. Before I go through the trouble of putting this box all the way back in again, I'm going to replace this.